Hey, everyone. I'm 23 male and I'm stuck between choosing my family and my well-being. The story started when I was young. Ever since I developed a sense of how my parents treated me and how I am meant to feel, I started realizing that my mom has never treated me equally. In her eyes, my older brother, 26 male, is the star child, the best boy, and seemingly the only child. When I was young, whenever my mom had to take her children somewhere, it was always my brother, and never me. She always forgot to show up whenever I needed her. I used to believe her lies when I was younger, but as I started growing up, I realized that things were not like that. My mom chose to forget about me and chose to be there for my brother instead of me. I do not have any hatred towards my brother, though. My brother has always been a good older brother to me. There were several times when he insisted Mom should attend my event, such as graduation, saying that his football practice is not a big deal, but Mom would always show up at his and never at mine. It was a little heartbreaking when I was a teenager, but as I grew older, I started going to therapy. I tried not to let her behaviors have that effect on my emotions that I have always allowed her to have. It was extremely hard. But when I finally reached that mental space, I felt extremely happy. I felt like I had found a way to salvage my relationship with my mom while also not being upset by her behavior. Her blatant favoritism knew no bounds, but it did not hurt when my mom's reaction to me going off to college was wanting to renovate my bedroom and break the wall, separating my room and my brother's room so that her favorite son can have a bigger room. Since my dad has always been present for me, I started to rely on him and his affection and appreciation whenever I needed parental validation. My dad pulled through wherever my mom lacked, and having him be horrified at her suggestion of demolishing my bedroom for my brother was comforting enough. Please note that when my mom suggested breaking the wall down to merge both of our bedrooms together to give my brother a bigger bedroom, my brother was 21 and in boot camp. There was no way he was going to come home before my first semester was done, and my mom could not care any less where I would be staying when I came home from college. Even though my dad refused the idea of renovating the house, my mom seemed like she could not hear it at all. I knew that she was not going to listen, and I suppose Dad knew about it as well. This is why soon after I joined college, my dad told me that he has found an apartment near my university, and I should live there. He will pay for the apartment, and it would be in my name because I deserve a safe place. My dad has always gone above and beyond to make me feel accepted and appreciated. When he was informed of how I felt regarding the treatment I got from my mom by my therapist, and I appreciate the kindness he has shown me a lot. So soon after that, I moved into the apartment and made it my very own space. I have been living in this house for the past 6 years. For reference, as we all know, COVID changed the course of people's lives a lot, and one of the major events that happened during COVID was my brother's marriage. If you guessed I was absent during the wedding, you were right. If you guessed a mom was the one who insisted that my absence during my brother's wedding did not matter, then you would be right again. Did that particular behavior hurt me? Yes. Did I spiral into a depressive state? Yes. Did my mom know about it? Yes. Did she care? Not particularly, no. My brother suggested that Dad and I attend the wedding virtually so that I do not feel left out, but I knew that it would not be fair. So I told Dad to stay with my brother and be a part of his wedding on my behalf. I cannot say that I had any soft corners left for my mom after this incident happened. However, my mom was on a mission to put me in an awful situation, both emotionally and mentally. She managed to do that by calling me yesterday and telling me to move out of my house. She explained the situation as my brother and sister-in-law were expecting a child after 1.5 years old marriage. Mom promised them a house that would make it easier for sister-in-law to go back to college after the child is old enough. And instead of genuinely looking for an apartment where brother and sister-in-law could be living, my mom decided to go for a shortcut, which is to give them my place. She told me that since I was not at my brother's wedding, I owe him a wedding gift, and doing this would be the best gift for him. She even went as far as to tell me to not worry about the legal papers because she will ask Dad to hand off the apartment to my brother. I told her that this is my apartment, and she corrected me, saying it was my apartment, and now it is my brother's apartment. I have not been able to give her an answer. I quietly hung up on her, and I'm currently in a very shocked state. I asked my friends what I should do, and one of them suggested I look into the legalities of the situation. I did that, and the lawyer told me as long as I do not sign anything without reading through it, I should be good. There is no way she can get the apartment from me unless I sign it away. Mom has noticed my reluctance and has given me a piece of her mind. She thinks that if I'm not willing to give my apartment to my brother, I do not deserve the family. But this is not fair to me. This apartment is my home. This is everything that I have. I can't let this go. What should I do, guys? Update 1. I do believe that the shock of the situation had me too stunned because I really should have informed Dad about this first, as you all suggested. I did call my dad and explain the whole situation to him. I told him what Mom said about me not being there for my brother's wedding and how I owe him a gift, etc. To say he was horrified would be an understatement. He told me not to worry and also not to sign any papers Mom sends me while he spoke with my brother. I have not seen my brother in a good while as I am not in a financially stable situation after COVID to afford to go back to my hometown. Just the thought that all of this is happening while I am so many miles away breaks my heart. Edit. It okay. I thought I'll put this here as an add-on. My brother was informed of the whole situation by Dad. My brother could not believe him, so he called me up. I explained what Mom said and how everything was happening behind his back. Since the mom my brother had and the mom I got was very different, he could not believe me. He said that he understands I'm a depressed and delusional person, but I should not ruin a parent's image like this. That was a bit of a low blow, if I am honest, but I know it was because he is feeling insecure about his future with an expecting wife. I calmly told him that I do wish I was wrong, and that I am sure he can find the truth out for himself if he would simply ask Mom about the details. He hung up on me. I feel miserable. He hates me. I know he does. Update 2. Hey everyone. Thank you for all the sweet words you sent my way. When you all saw that I was depressed, you guys pulled through better than my mother. I cannot thank you enough. My brother did find out the truth, and he was not happy with how he reacted to the news. He apologized several times and I forgave him. I knew that he was scared and worried about his future, so I can excuse his words. He did not mean them. He also told me that he is planning on not speaking with Mom anymore because having her treat me like I am this expendable is not a good thing, and he wants no part of it. He told me that he had an argument with Mom regarding the apartment when he found out the truth, and he realized how far she was going with her neglect towards me, when she casually brushed my safety aside. My brother found a good apartment away from our hometown, and he's going to get that for the sake of safety and to put some distance between Mom and him. I do not like how this is happening, but I also understand that everyone here is of age and knows what they're doing. Update 3. Mom hates me. She sent me a bunch of messages and voice calls right after my brother moved away because she thinks I broke the family. I drove the family apart. I hate how her words are making me feel. Dad and brother suggested I should go no contact with Mom, but I am scared that if I do that, Mom will forget that I even exist in the first place. I hate how worthless she is making me feel, and I wish I knew how to not feel this way. Update 4. Hey, I do not know if anyone's waiting for the update to my story, but just in case anyone was here, it is. I listened to all you had to say, and I decided to go. No contact with my mom. I blocked her everywhere, and I have not unblocked her in the past 6 months. These past 6 months have been magical and healing for me. I got to spend important milestones with my brother and dad. I got to go over to my brother's place after sister-in-law gave birth to my niece. She looks so pretty and petite and tiny, and I've never loved someone more than I love my niece. Mom did not know about my sister-in-law's delivery, so she was not at the hospital during it. But when she heard about it from a cousin, she came storming to the hospital and lost her mind. When she found me there, she was very up in arms about how she felt about me, and it took both my dad and a nurse to hold her back from hurting me. My brother told her that she's not allowed near his daughter until she keeps her temper in control, and that seemed to bring about a change since I came home. I heard from Dad that Mom is planning on getting therapy and working on her issues. I hope she has a speedy recovery, but I can't say I'm looking forward to meeting her again. Thanks for reading this. NTA Op. You did not do anything bad by refusing to let go of your living area just because your mom decided to promise them something and never pulled through. NTA, you should tell your dad about this and see if he can help you out at all. I do not think your mom deserves to be a mom in the first place. She does not seem sane at all. You deserve better, and I am glad your father has pulled through wherever he could. Next story. I haven't seen my mom in a year. Last year, there was a big fight between me, my wife, and my mother about how Christmas would work and who would host. My mom decided she didn't want to see me anymore. It sucks, but I'm not going to beg her. My wife and I have a disagreement regarding our 1.5-year-old son. She thinks my mom is a horrid person for not sending him gifts, cars, and asking for pictures. I think if my mom actually wants no contact, she's doing the respectful thing. Also, we both agree she wouldn't be allowed to see him, so I don't really get what my wife wants. I have asked her to not badmouth my mom to any of my family. I want to preserve the few relationships I have left, and it is honestly embarrassing. My grandparents gave my mom zero help with me because not their kid, not their problem. And that was with them being fairly close to my mom, so I can't imagine how they would react to hearing my wife's views on this. Recently, we ran into my uncle at my grandparents' house. It was awkward as I know that dude hates me and is 100% on my mom's team. But we were all guilted into staying for lunch. My grandmother was trying to get my uncle to come for Thanksgiving, and he got pissy and said no. She knows he spends all holidays with my mom. My wife then asked how my mom was, and I felt myself cringe. My uncle said she's great. My wife said we wouldn't know as she never sends any gifts for our son, so maybe she's dead. I gave her a look, begging her to stop. My uncle's wife burst out laughing. My uncle asked if she was kidding or if she really thought my mom was going to buy gifts for a child she did not know. My wife went on a rant about how she would do anything to have any amount of contact with our future grandchildren. My uncle laughed and said, "Wow, such a gold digger. You put his ex, who he hates, name to shame." My wife immediately looked like she was going to cry, but I just couldn't bring myself to say anything. I was mortified, and I begged her to not bring up the gift thing. She asked if I was going to defend her. I said no, and she ran out of the room. We left, and she's furious with me. She says, "I bet." We left, and she's furious with me. She says I betrayed her, and my mom is going to laugh when she hears. I told her that she humiliated me, and I begged her to stop with the gifts. NTA. What was your wife thinking saying that? If your mom is fully no contact with you, that means she has to be no contact with your children as well. It's sad, but you have to respect her doing no contact properly. And it didn't help that your wife focused on gifts rather than, I don't know, your mom asking after the kids or asking for photos, etc. And why bring it up in front of your family? It wasn't going to achieve anything other than awkwardness for you. Why is your wife so desperate for gifts from someone she's no contact with? She opened the door to everything that happened after asking about your mom, so she needs to live with it. How exactly does she want you to defend the indefensible? Next story. My father bought the house in the 80s and held on to it as different developments sprung up around it. I inherited it 3 years ago and have been living in it since. I have 2 acres while my surrounding neighbors have maybe half an acre if they're lucky. I use maybe 1/5 of the backyard as a garden, and the rest is basically an empty field. I've always loved kids, so I was happy to let my neighbors' kids play in the field with the understanding that they would respect the property. Most of the kids are great, very respectful, and understand that this is not their backyard. The problem is with my neighbors to the right. They have 5 kids, female 1, male 3, male 5, female 5, and male 7, who generally run around unsupervised. They don't come to my yard to play very often unless the other kids are playing soccer or baseball. The 7-year-old is in charge as much as a 7-year-old can be, but obviously he can't replace parental supervision. 5 days ago, the kids were playing baseball, and he must have lost track of the 5-year-olds at some point, because when I came home from work, I found their names sharpied on my wall. Name and name were here, along with some rude drawings, a man pooping, several piles of poop, that thing, all along the right side of the house. I found their parents the next day and asked them to pay for the paint. I'll need to cover it up. They were very offended, accused me of lying, and said they weren't going to pay. If this had been all, I probably would have let it slide and cover the paint since it would only be like $1.20. But later that day, Male 5 decided it would be funny to throw rocks at my house. There are several dents in the siding where the rocks hit, and 2 of my windows are broken. From what I've been quoted to fix, it is about $800 to $900 worth of damage. I talked to the parents who accused me of doing it myself to make their kids look bad. I've decided those 5 are not allowed to use my yard until the damage is paid for, which I think is more than fair. When they came by this morning to play soccer with the other kids, I politely explained the situation and said they would have to leave as they aren't allowed to play here anymore. The 7-year-old was very upset, more sad than the temper tantrum, which is understandable. But the 5-year-olds were very angry. About an hour later, their mom came by and cussed me out, yelling at my doorstep about how I'm a horrible person who hates children because I'm bitter and can't find a husband. I'm standing my ground either way, but a few other parents came by and seemed a little frustrated by my explanation as to why that family is no longer welcome, which is making me question things. A ITA for banning them from playing here? Edit to answer some common concerns. I will be installing cameras. I dug my dad's old trail cameras out of the garage, so I'll put those up either tonight or tomorrow. I am aware of the liability issues with kids playing in my yard. I'm willing to risk. I don't want to put up a fence. I think they're ugly. The property line is clearly marked. I will not be banning the entire neighborhood unless I absolutely have to. Edit 2. I also have a meeting scheduled with my attorney to discuss the possibility of drawing up a liability waiver for the parents to sign. Forgot to put that in the last edit, LOL. I've been temporarily banned, but if you have a question, I likely answered it somewhere else in the comments, so look at my comment history. I've called CPS. They think everything is fine. 5M was still throwing the rocks when I got home. Several of the kids in the neighborhood also let me know what happened. That's how I know it was him. Edit 4. They're also usually supervised. Typically, there's a parent or 2 hanging around anyway, and I work from home, so the kids know to knock on my door and ask me to watch them if their parents are busy. I am also looking into an umbrella policy that would be more likely to cover any injuries that occur. NTA. Let those destructive little kids play in the yards of the families who are frustrated your yard is now off limits. Put up cameras, and when you catch property disrupting in progress, call the cops and then sue the parents. Even 5-year-olds should know better than to do what those kids did. Poor kids. What inadequate parents they have. NTA, not one bit. I'm worried that this might escalate and the family will cause further damage to your property out of anger. I'd get some cameras set up if I were you to protect yourself, and so you have definitive proof when there is a next time.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to check out our other videos and leave a comment with your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an update. See you next time on our channel, where the best Reddit stories come to life.